Our speaker is somebody that most of you know. She is a frequent speaker at not only at Launchpad, but also the other two major job clubs as well, and lots of other places around town. Catherine Jewell is a career coach. She has a term that she calls herself the career passion coach. So there's nobody else that is able to do that. That's a little copyrighted phrase that is attached only to Catherine Jewell. Her job title should have brought hundreds of people to listen to her today. It is the 30 to 50% salary bump in one jump. She is a career coach focused on helping mid-level professionals increase their salaries by 30 to 50% while finding jobs they love. She is a certified professional career manager and has been known as the Career Passion Coach since 2002. She is the author of 3 books on career changing, including New Resume, New Career, the only resume book featuring 50 real career change stories. She has been quoted in the New York Times, Success Magazine, Entrepreneur, and Black Enterprise magazines. Her new book, Good Network, Good New Job, will be available in September on Amazon. So let's give a very warm welcome to Catherine Jewell. Take it away, Catherine.
Hey, I'm really happy to be here. Thank you, everybody. You can hear me okay?
We can hear you just fine.
Okay, good. Well, I'm coming to you live and in color from Des Moines, Iowa. And not very many people vacation in Des Moines, but I do because I'm from Iowa originally. And I wondered if there are any Iowans on the call. And if you're from Iowa, just put it in the chat box. I find that a lot of Iowans move to Texas for the weather and for the wonderful business climate that Texas is. So I'd love to hear if there's any Iowans on the line. So this presentation is actually my promise that I make to clients when I'm working with them, that they will earn 30 to 50% more with their next job. And so you might be thinking, wow, is that really possible? But I'm going to show you how today. And the thing to really ask yourself is, if you had to leave your job and had only 60 days to find a new one because you had to support your family, what would you do first? And my answer is, number one, you want to rethink your value in the marketplace, because I can tell you, you're probably not earning enough. And then go for a 30 to 50% bump. So what I'd like you to do is take out a pen and a piece of paper, because you're going to want to make some notes, but you will get a copy of all these slides in the newsletter. Shannon's going to provide those. And so you probably only want to use the pen and paper, because we're going to do a little test here in a minute. But what we're going to cover today is why some people earn more than other people, how to discover your current value, and then 8 ways you can increase your value, whether you're working now or not. And of course, when you get a new job, you want to use these 8 ways. And then I'm going to talk to you about 5 basic career change strategies. And what I find working with clients is when they're changing careers, one of these 5 strategies is always used. And so I want you to think today about which one of these strategies is right for you, because I think it will change your thinking about targeting the right company and the right job for you. So as I mentioned, my promise to clients is increase your income, upgrade to a better job, and earn 30 to 50% more, finally doing what you love. Because one of the things we know is that if you love your job, you actually earn more than other people who don't love that work. And so loving your job isn't just a selfish, I really want to feel good getting out of bed Monday morning kind of thing. It's actually the key to being a superstar, a great performer, and a great earner. So I want to show you, this is my website. Please connect with me. You can get a free consultation with me. It's called the Free Career Strategy Session. And you'll notice here, it's here underneath the picture. And it is a free telephone consultation with you to see what is next for you. And of course, after talking to me, I'm probably going to suggest some coaching for you. But coaching isn't for everyone. Coaching is for people who are really committed to making a big change and doing it fast, because I require my clients to do a lot of work and to keep their job search extremely active. And I know all of you are trying very hard to get that next position, and it gets kind of discouraging. Sometimes it's great to work with someone new who sees you differently. And so if you would really like to consider one-on-one coaching, this is the place to come, careerpassioncoach.com. So I begin by kind of setting the stage. And the reason I can promise 30 to 50% more income is that most people right now in our culture are underpaid. We've had a lot of tough years. We've had COVID, where people were hanging on by their fingernails, and companies just across the board said everybody gets a 30% cut. And then later on, they actually cut people loose. And so it's really difficult when you've been under earning to see yourself making more. And so I really recommend Barbara Hewson. And she is the daughter of the man who founded H&R Block. And in her first marriage, her husband gambled and invested away her entire trust fund, all of her money. And when she went to her daddy, when she got divorced and said, please help me, he said, no way. And so she had to build herself back. And she wrote this book called Overcoming Under-Earning. And it is it's the psychological reasons why people under-earn. And I just can't recommend it enough. I try to read it once a year, and I write in the book, and every year I go back and look and see how much progress have I actually made in my psychological barriers to earning money. And then her new book is called Rewire for Wealth. She changed her name because she got married. And so she was Barbara Stanny, and she's now Barbara Hewson. But really consider those two books. I just can't recommend them enough. So now we're going to talk about the 30 to 50% challenge. And here's where you need a pencil and paper. So I want you to give yourself a score of 1 to 10 for each of these questions. And so if you have a perfect score, it's going to add up to 50. So the first question is, how long were you with your most current company, the company that you left most recently? Now, if it was 11 years, give yourself a 10. If it was 15 years, give yourself a 10. That's the highest score. And then you could literally put in the number of years. The second question, are you motivated to earn more? And so a little would be 1 to 3, quite a bit, 4 to 6, totally 7 to 10. So give yourself a score for how motivated you are to earn more. Number 3 is, do you believe you have the talent and ambition for a higher paying job? Give yourself a score there, and you can see at the top, little, quite a bit, totally. The next question, do you feel you are underpaid? Very important question. If you feel you're underpaid, you most certainly are, and you're ready for a change. Give yourself a score there. And then the last question is really an important one. Are you willing to be the one in charge? Are you willing to lead? Are you willing to manage people? Are you willing to be the star performer? And give yourself a score there. And then what I'd like you to do is total these 5 numbers and put your answers in the chat box. I'm going to open up my chat box to see what's coming in. 41. Thanks, Margaret or Martha. That's great. 41. Who else has a total? 45. Cindy. 28. Cedar. 33. I hate having to babysit people. Yep, got it. 43, Colleen. Randy has 30, 43, 32. Okay, so guess what, everybody? The quiz total is an estimate of how much more you could earn. So whatever your score is, turn that into a percentage, and that's how much more you should be shooting for than your last salary. And I always like to do this with my clients in the very first session, because in order to be super motivated, you have to imagine yourself making more. So if you take your current salary, and so in your case, take your last salary and multiply it by the number that you just got. Like if it's 41, multiply it by 0.41. And then the increased number of dollars, I want you to divide by 24 or 26. And those are the number of times you get paid per year. Most people get paid every 2 weeks, so divide by 26. And then you're going to multiply that by 0.7, because we take home about 70% of our gross. And that's how much more cash per pay period that you could plan on. So just imagine twice a month, you would have that much more money. So if the example is a $90,000 earner who could be earning 30% more, that's $27,000 a year. And then divide that by 26, it's $1,038, and do the 0.7 and that's $726 more cash in every pay period. So you can do the math for yourself and try to imagine, if you had $700 more per pay period, what would you do with that money? It's really exciting when you think about your job search in that way. Well, you might be sitting back and saying, gosh, you know, it's hard enough to get a job. Is it really possible to earn more? Yes, if you follow this formula, or if you change jobs. Obviously, when I'm presenting to an audience that are already employed, they almost always have to change companies in order to get that kind of an increase in pay. So the first part of the formula is you've got to discover your value. And I know that many of you know about salary.com. Obviously, networking within your field will help you get a sense of your value. And a great way to ask when you're doing a networking conversation is to say, how much would a person at my level with the title product manager command. So you're not saying how much would I earn, but how much would a person like me expect to earn? And of course, you can always check in with a mentor too. And so the real key is you only seek jobs that pay more than you are currently earning. So even though you're trying to get a new job and you're feeling maybe a little scared and even desperate, aspire to a higher level than your last job. If you shoot low, you have almost certain rejection. There's no such thing anymore as getting your foot in the door. If you were making $90,000 before, you need to be shooting for 120. Because if you shoot for 70, a recruiter will see that you're a $90,000 earner just from your job titles, and she'll say, I'm not going to talk to them. And that could be one reason that you get rejected. So salary.com, of course, will tell you what people are earning in our market. So you just put in the job title and the location, and you're going to get a bell-shaped curve. The other thing that salary.com does is give you what I call a career ladder. And so you can see here at the top, we have training specialist 4, 3, 1, 2, and then down at the bottom, training director. Well, if you look up the income for training specialist 4, if you've got 7 to 8 years experience, you're probably at a 4 level. And if you're already there, what is the next level on the ladder? It is training director. Now, the person who said, I don't like to babysit people, really probably had a bad experience with management and doing supervision. But actually being in charge in many ways is a simpler job than being the doer. And so really consider if you are willing to take a higher level position and start commanding more salary. Now, the other thing you can do with salary.com is line up 3 jobs side by side, read the descriptions, and then very carefully see what's the difference between this training director here on the right and the training specialist 2 on the left. And you'll notice it sometimes comes down just to experience, 2 to 5, 5 to 10, 15 plus years here at the bottom. So actually the market expects you with 15 years experience, they expect you to apply at a higher level. And you really should be, because here's the thing. You have probably done all the activities of the higher level person. You have done those activities because the company got the most they possibly could out of you, and you were doing higher level activities than were your job description. And so applying at a higher level is it's not a problem. You already have the skills. And look here, this is training specialist. I don't know, I can't see it because
It's training specialist 2.
Okay, so this is training specialist 2, and you'll notice it's 59.7 is the midpoint. And a lot of people get stuck at this 60,000 to 70,000 range, and they really belong up in the 90s and 100. So now here's training director, and you'll notice it's more than twice as much. And my theory, and it proves out over and over again, and with my clients, is they're actually performing at the training director level. And they're only being paid at specialist 2 or specialist 3. And so if you see these, if you can present yourself in your interviews as a training director, you can move from specialist two to low end training director and get a 94% bump in your salary. I'd like to just see some comments in the chat. How do you feel about that? What do you believe that this is really possible? So anything coming in, Kathy?
The only comment that's coming in, I have a question though. The person who said, I hate to babysit, when you said that, that person probably has been in management. He says, true, and I had to fire people, which I hated. And then somebody says spot on, somebody says frustrated. Is it, so in that little chart that you showed us, you also had a training specialist 3 there. I think there was also a training specialist 4, maybe.
Yes.
And so, but you're saying that instead of going up those increments, that you should go even from a training specialist 2, you should go from the high end of that to the low end of the director.
Yes.
And not go up the 3, 4 levels. Is that correct?
I'm suggesting that you leapfrog. And the reason for that is that with the economy being so lousy, companies are forcing people to perform at higher levels than they are being paid for. And so if you look very carefully at the training director responsibilities, you will see you've already done it. The other thing is that training directors often have a team, and sometimes it's a dotted line. So sometimes you can be director level and not directly supervise people. So, and you can get the hang of supervising people. Trust me. I mean, I was horrible at it when I started, and I just realized, hey, Catherine, you got to remember to be kinder and nicer and form a partnership with the people that are working under you. And I had much better luck after I was in the game for about a year.
Yeah, very often I think when you leapfrog like that and you get into a senior level position, they may or may not train you as to how to manage, how to lead. And so it could be that then you'll have to take the initiative to read on it, to take some courses, to pick up those management executive skills yourself.
Right. And there are some wonderful courses on LinkedIn Learning.
Right. That is very true, that are free of charge.
Yeah.
Which we should all be doing all the time anyway, if you have access to them. Yeah. And LinkedIn Learning is only for people who are paid subscribers to LinkedIn. However, you can get lynda.com, a version of it, a library version of it for free through the Round Rock Library or the Houston Library. With Round Rock Library, you have to go to the library and get a card. Comes with lynda.com, but Houston Library, you can stay at home and subscribe and have access to lynda.com, which has a lot of the same courses. Some people are saying that even though they would like the money for the senior level position, they don't like those jobs. One person says, when I was a lead, I got good feedback from my manager and the people I supervised. But I love to write. I don't like to manage because it takes away too much time from the writing part of my position. So that person would like to make more money, I'm sure, but wants the hands-on work rather than the senior management work.
I understand that. I've had several clients do that. And in that case, let's say that they are a content writer too, they become a content director, where they are writing part-time, but they're also doing strategic thinking. And what I have found is that most writers don't want to write 100% of the time, and they would like to be involved with client meetings and setting strategies. So I've got one client now who's working, she's actually with IBM doing content, and she is looking for a new content job at a much higher level. And so and for her, it's not so much about the money because IBM's paying her very well. For her, it's about a little more money and a lot more strategy. So it does depend, which way you want to go, but you can climb the individual contributor ladder. But what I'm saying is leapfrog. Don't think just because you're at a 2 level that you can't be a 4 next time or a 5.
Well, I love the job description situation that you can get from salary.com, where you can look at what is required for the senior level position and say, that is not even a leap. I do that now, and I just don't have the title.
Yeah. Let's move on because I wanted to show you these 3. And if you examine them really closely, here's the difference. A training director directs. They collaborate with management. They approve other people's work. They oversee relationships with vendors. They manage and develop training professionals. They create functional strategies with budgets, policies, and procedures. Now, I would just really challenge anybody on this call to not say, oh, I have never been involved with budgets, policies, and procedures. Really? You have. You just haven't been the one in charge, maybe. And they're looking for 5 years of management experience. And the way that most of our clients get around that is 5 years of project management leadership. Because even though they haven't done maybe the hiring and firing and the performance evals, they have led people. And in my view, that's harder because it's a dotted line relationship and you don't have power over those people. So it's just something to think about, and it's not for everybody, but remember, this is what salary boils down to. If you look at all kinds of jobs, it's collaborating with upper management, approving and suggesting enhancements to programs, leading and directing others. It's creativity. And so many people want more of that, latitude and leadership. So if you want a higher salary, and that's why in my formula, 10 points goes to, are you willing to be the one in charge? Because if you're not, then that 40% increase that you said you wanted is really 20. So are you ready for a 50% salary bump? The question you ask yourself is, can I perform at that level? And the more important question is, am I now performing at that level? Have I already done that? If you have, go for the higher level job. So here are the 8 ways you can increase your salary. Number 1, never tell what you currently earn. And I know your speakers, Charles Black is the one who taught me this backwards and forwards over and over again. But you have to have prepared ways to deflect recruiters' questions. What is the salary band for this position? I'm currently a training manager in a global company. You can guess my salary range. Really, recruiters know what you make. I think it's more important for me to understand this position first to see if there's a fit. I'm at the top of my salary range and looking for advancement. You don't have to tell them what the top is. Recruiters know. I'm sure your company, if your company makes an offer, we can come to an agreement. I've researched this job title and I know we're in the same ballpark. So you can say, I've researched the job title in the Austin market and it pays what I am wanting to earn. But the minute you say 80,000, they will offer you 82. The minute you say 75, they will offer you 78 or 77. So the first person to say the number loses. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because I know there's a lot of controversy over this, but every one of my clients who follows this formula and never gives a salary has the chance for a much higher salary. Anything coming in on the chat with that, Kathy?
No, not yet.
Okay. Number 2 is you want to consistently have more impact when you have a job. So whatever programs you create, make sure that it's implemented to affect more people, more divisions, more customers. If you're doing good work, try to track it, find out the numbers, the percentages, the dollars saved, really keep track of your achievements so that you can put them on your resume. And if your resume doesn't have all those achievement statements, my goodness, redo it and get some achievement statements on your resume. And I know you have lots of speakers who have told you this. Promote your work inside the company. So you need to be famous inside your company. And that ties in with number 3, which is becoming more visible. And that means that you need to be the person who writes reports and makes presentations to management, the person who knows your boss's boss. You host meetings, you gather results, you report them. And then the last one is a little bit tricky politically, but that is you want to get a skip level mentor. What that means is you get a mentor one level above your boss. Now, the way I did this when I worked at Principal Financial Group is that I rode the elevator almost every morning with the CEO, and I reported to a vice president. And so this was one level above my boss. And I rode the elevator with this guy, and I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I really need to converse with this man to make sure he knows who I am in this division of 600 people. And it ended up that it's just like talking to anyone else. We started talking about weather. I found out that his son attended Valley High School, the same school my son attended. We talked about the school, and he got to know me. And it got to the point where he would say hello to me in the halls. And so don't be afraid to do this. I was so afraid most of my career. And I really blew a lot of years when I could have been increasing my salary and done so much better in the corporate arena. But I just was too afraid to do that. Number 4, learn something few know about. So set up and be the one who takes on a new challenge. Learn SQL, learn pivot tables, learn Salesforce, learn cybersecurity, whatever it is that your company needs, even if it's not in your job description, take it on and learn it and become kind of a departmental expert. Look for new ways to promote new knowledge and work cross-functionally. So one of my clients, her company took on Salesforce, and she took it on as a personal challenge. She was going to become the Salesforce expert in her department. She became so good at it that she ended up leaving the company, and she did a Salesforce implementation for her mother's manufacturing company. And then we put on her resume that she was a Salesforce consultant. And then after 2 years as a Salesforce implementation consultant, Salesforce hired her. And so before, when she first learned Salesforce, she was a business analyst. I think it was 3, making about 90. And then just like 2 years later, Salesforce hired her at 160. That is the power of learning something that is really, really important. And so think about it. Number 5, make more judgment calls. Now, you probably don't know this woman, but she is the patron saint of judgment calls. And she is the one who famously said, it's easier to ask forgiveness than it is to get permission. And this is Grace Hopper. She is someone you need to study. She is just an amazing woman. She actually was in the Navy until age 80. And then when she retired, she went to Digital Equipment Corporation. And so she retired at 80 and then kept working. She actually is responsible for some of the biggest changes to computing. And the Cray XE6, one of the most powerful computers ever created, is named the Hopper after Grace Hopper. And this is the way she did her life. It's easier to ask forgiveness than it is to get permission. Quit asking permission. And I'm really talking to the women now. Quit it. Take your job and run with it. You can always have a boss call you into his office and say, and by the way, it's almost a his office, but let's say it's a her office, and say, you know what, Catherine, you went a little bit too far with this program. You should have gotten permission to get this and that before you did it. Don't do that again. You know what? That's not a difficult conversation. It's not difficult at all because you took initiative. You got to make more judgment calls and manage up. Stop asking for permission. For example, here, you could say to your boss, our weekly check-ins take 2 hours of company time. How about I email you a list of what I'm working on and then save our face-to-face time for strategy? I actually said this to my boss when I worked at Principal Financial Group, and we cut our weekly hourly meeting down to 20 minutes. And you know what? It was phenomenal because that's the most strategic job I've ever had because I made it strategic. Number 6 is stop being a do-it-all. You remember the story of the little red hen who said, who will do this for me? Oh, I guess I'll just do it myself. You have to get to the point where you're persuading people to work with you and you stop being a victim. I had a client who had to monitor code and read thousands of lines of code and try to figure out where the issues were. And consistently, they would dump a problem on her desk on Friday afternoon. And she had gotten to the point where she would work all weekend to solve that problem. And she did it consistently. And we were coaching, and I said, until you stop this, you are never going to get respect in the marketplace. And she finally did. She finally, if they delivered it on Friday, she'll say, well, I can probably get this done by next Wednesday or so. I'll start on it first thing Monday morning. And they stopped treating her like that. 7, develop a mentor who will speak for you. This is a person who's going to have your back in executive meetings. If something that you've done is not popular, he or she will defend you, speak up for you when assignments are handed out, and choose you to do something new and innovative. Number 8, congratulate yourself. Now, this sounds kind of strange, and others, it totally works. So when you're in an office setting, every time you finish a project, you debrief all the major components of the project and you congratulate the entire team. And you thank all the other departments. And you save the results and emails in a paper file in your desk. If you are ever let go, you pick up your paper file with your name on it and you walk out the building with great achievement stuff. Does that make sense to everybody? I mean, if you've ever been walked out of a building, you know that it's devastating because you lose so much. So I'm going to pause now and ask you to put in the chat box the numbers of at least 2 items that you need to change the next time you have a job.
And Catherine, while people are doing that, there were a couple comments that I wanted to bring to your attention. One said, this is a question, would the skip level mentor have to be within your company, or could it be someone from another company in another area?
I love it. I think absolutely another company would be amazing, because that could be your next employer, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And this person also knew Grace Hopper before you gave the answer. So she was right on top of it. And somebody made the comment, the CEO of Sun Microsystems also said something like, to ask permission is to seek denial.
I love it. I am going to add that in.
Yeah, that's great.
Super.
And somebody said, in terms of congratulating people who've done a good job, you should always keep a smile file. And that's an important thing for anybody, but you gain converts, you gain supporters when you do that.
Yeah.
So now the numbers are coming in. 7, 2 and 3, 6. Number 6, totally, and 7.
Totally. Mm-hmm.
Many of these comments remind me of the book Lynchpin by Seth Godin. Seth Godin?
Great. I'm going to write
Seth
that one
Godin.
down.
I thought that was Seth Godin. Okay, Seth Godin. I thought that doesn't sound right. 1 and 3, 1, 3, 4, and 8. That's from an overachiever. And Shannon had put in the obvious, everybody has heard this many, many times at the very beginning of your talk, where she said, frequently women are the ones who are traditionally underpaid and who find it most difficult to do these things that you're advising people to do. But I feel really bad that there are lots of men who also find it difficult to promote themselves and to do things outside of to skip. They feel that they need to follow the procedure. So it's not a strictly gender, differential there.
No, and one of the things I've noticed, and I'll just bring this in. My husband was let go a year ago, and he is 66. And I really think that age discrimination is so prevalent, and particularly, I hate to say this, but particularly with white guys over the age of 60. And what I've noticed is the longer he's in the job hunt, the less confidence he has. And he actually needs this kind of boost every day because it's been so long since he has implemented some of these ideas that he's kind of forgotten. And so my heart goes out to every man on this call because, it really does. And for women too, but it takes your self-confidence to be let go. And
That is very true. It's age discrimination is huge here. Somebody has asked, do you have other tips on how to find mentors, especially younger mentors?
ooh,
There are lots of people who advise you to get to mentor up and mentor down. So, that you get younger people to mentor you as well. So everybody's learning and promoting each other.
mm-hmm. I think most of my mentors have come from volunteer positions. Like I was on a board one time for the Society to Prevent Blindness. And I got several mentors out of that experience that I still have 35 years later.
Yeah.
And so I think anytime you volunteer, you have the opportunity to really get to know someone and know them as a person. And then it's really easy to start that mentoring relationship. But the other reason to have a younger mentor is that they're going to keep you more relevant because they're going to be talking about TikTok and Slack and Slido and almost all the newer apps that I know about have been told to me because I volunteer with the Association for Talent Development and I work with younger people. And so it's a constant challenge for me to keep up with all that software that's out there.
I think Tom Singer was the first one I ever heard promote mentoring, getting mentors from both sides of the chronological divide.
I think that's a fantastic idea, and I hadn't really thought of it before. But I'm going to add that into the book.
Oh, good. Good.
So I am going to write a book called, I think I'm going to call it the 50% Challenge. Because I really want to get this information down on paper and get it really explained thoroughly so people can consume it. So we have lots of strategies, and what do you think is the favorite strategy right now in the chat box?
Let's see, 7 was strong. Let me look up here a little bit. 4, 6, 7. Not everybody has added their numbers.
Okay.
I see 4, 6, and 7.
Okay. Yeah. Learn something few know about. And like I said, something as simple as Salesforce can become your new career or Workday. One of my clients lost her job in training, and she had been a training manager and of a smaller company, and she was just doing a terrific job. I don't know what they did after she left, but anyway, she had a friend at ATD who got her a contract with doing Workday implementation. And Workday, as you know, is so big, especially with government entities. And so after she finished that contract, there was another contract that came behind it with the University of Virginia. And they couldn't hire her because they didn't have the headcount. So they hired her at $125 an hour, full time. So anybody who's got a calculator right now, take $125 an hour times 40 times 52 weeks. And I think it comes out to like 124,000 a year. So she was literally making that much money remotely working for the University of Virginia. And she would have to fly out there once in a while, but she became like the workday maven. And this particular person doesn't even have a college degree. So, you know, if you know something big, it could be your next career. And so if you have something like that in your toolkit, think about changing up your job search to specifically seek that kind of work.
It was 260,000 a year.
Oh, 260 only, 260.
Yeah, you can kind of double it and add some zeros.
Yeah, you probably know how to do the math better than I do, but yeah, 260,000, not bad, because I think as a training manager, she was making about 90, 80, 90, something in that range. So to go from that to 260 overnight, it was a good thing for her family. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the 5 proven career strategies and how are we doing on time?
You can have an extra, from now you can have an extra 15 minutes because you started late. So
yeah, we can definitely get this done in 15 minutes, but I want everybody to really focus on the idea of the strategy. If you don't understand it, please ask a question. So number 1 strategy is move to the competition. And so this is just, you know, the simplest idea. If you worked for Dell, go to work for IP or HP, I'm sorry, HP, or go to work for another cloud services company. You know, it's not that difficult. And if you have worked at Dell, let's say, and earned a certain amount, if you go try to get another job at Dell, they know how much you made. They can look it up. And it's harder to leapfrog. So this is Jason's story. He was making 97 in government relations. And then he moved to a competitor high-tech company. And the person who got him into that job had no idea what he was earning. And his new salary was $170K in one jump, 74% increase. Now, here's the bad part. It was 305 search days because this company was just slow as molasses in January. But he was employed the whole time, so it wasn't a problem. And by the way, this person is someone I know very, very well. And after earning 170, he actually got several increases and got up to 250. So, you know, he wasn't making that much in government relations. They did not get who he really was. Moving to the competition changed everything. Now, this one is more difficult. Not very many people can actually do this, but if you have any heart for sales or marketing, think about moving to sales or marketing. The bottom line is the closer you get to the money, the more money you make. If you are in sales or marketing, you are going to make more money. Even, let's say you're an HR person, if you can be the HR person for the sales department, you will actually be paid more than the HR person somewhere else. It's bizarre, but I've seen this 100 times. So you get closer to the client, closer to the money, you make more money. So this was Brian. He was making $73,000 as a counselor for the Army. In the past, he had done pharmaceutical sales, and his passion was helping people. So he decided that he wanted to go to work, not for a big pharma, because that's kind of a young person's game. So he decided, well, if I go back to specialty pharma, maybe I can get a job there. His new income was 113, and with commissions, 131,000. So he actually had a 79% increase. It took him 41 days to make that switch. So in this case, he was doing what I call a boomerang, where you go back to something you used to do. If you have ever sold, you can still sell. So think about it. If you've ever been in marketing, you can still be in marketing. They just make more money. That's all I can say. Go
Catherine,
ahead.
let me ask you this question about that. If somebody has been selling for a big tech company, but they're a little bit older, are they more attractive to a small tech company, or did small tech companies tend to hire younger people that are hungry?
It kind of depends. I find that the software companies are pretty reluctant to hire young or older people. But my husband is currently at age 66 getting more traction from startups than he is from established companies.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
And it's because the startups know that they have a bunch of kids running the joint, and they are actually looking for some wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And so now he hasn't gotten a job offer yet. He has 2 startups who have promised job offers for the last 6 months.
Oh.
And they just don't have the funding to put him on. So startups, it's a kind of a scary game, actually, I think.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Sure. Number 3 is move to the other side of the table. So if you have been serving clients, become a client. And so this sounds kind of strange, but clients make more money than the people who serve them, usually, unless you're a highly paid salesperson. So this is Christine's story. She was making $70,000 as an account executive at an ad agency. Well, then she moved to the client side and became a marketing director for a CPA firm. Her new salary was $113,000, 62% increase in pay, and it took 65 days to make that happen. So, by the way, this is me. I actually did this. I always give people pseudonyms, but this was my big revelation. I was actually working at the ad agency with my former husband, and he told me, you'll never make more than 70. You're already very well paid. And then my contacts in the industry said, oh no, 70K is not that much. You can make more as a client. And so I started trying to find a marketing department that I could join. And the CPA firm just loved having me because I knew all this marketing and advertising information. And I hired an ad agency to help us. And all of a sudden I was telling them what to do and making more money. Oh my goodness. Strategy 3 is one of my favorites. Now, strategy 4 is not available to most of you because you probably haven't moved at the height of your glory. Because you thought you had made it and you stayed where you were. But this is an actual person that I coached. Marianne was earning $90,000 as an economic development officer for an Austin suburb. I won't tell you which one because then you could track her down. But anyway, she brought a major employer to town. And of course, it made huge news. And so she got recruited by another suburb of Austin, and they offered her $175,000. And that was after one screening call and one face-to-face interview. At the end of the face-to-face, they said, we'll pay you $175 if you'll come over to our suburb. 94% increase in pay, 0 search days. So this is just something to put in your pocket. If you ever knock it out of the ballpark and do something so amazing that you are at the height of your glory, that is the time to move. It sounds crazy, but your current company probably is not paying you what you are worth. Okay, strategy number 5, move to learn something new. So Susan was making 110 as a senior network engineer, but she decided, I just don't want to do systems engineering anymore. I really like this data architect thing that, it's kind of a new title. It was a new title back then when we were doing this. And she knew data modeling and Power BI, but then she did some networking and she found out, okay, I've got to get better at SQL and I've got to add in Hadoop or I will never get a job as a data architect. And I was like, great, I couldn't advise her in that way, but the networking gave her that information. So she started studying LinkedIn Learning and really got better at SQL Service and Hadoop. She was recruited as a data architect. Now get this, guys. She was recruited as a data architect because she put data architect in her headline on LinkedIn. Okay? So she was aspiring to be a data architect, but she put it in her headline. A recruiter called her and offered her 136. 24% increase in pay, 0 search days. She quit one job on Friday and went to the new job on Monday. So this is absolutely possible. And what I have my clients do, for example, if they're studying something really carefully, we put it on their resume in the summary at the top of the resume. We will say actively, working for a blank blank badge or whatever it is, because we want people to know that they are learners and that they're working towards something bigger. So the poll is, which of the 5 career change strategies might work for you now in your current job search? So I'm assuming that number 4 is not going to work because most of you are in the job hunt and you're in transition. But which one do you think will likely get you the job soonest? And are you willing to move in that direction? So I think do we have a poll feature? Oh,
I think we have to set it up ahead of time, but we've got.
Oh, we're just going to call these 1 through 5. So
yeah,
just go ahead and put your answers in the chat. I'm really.
They're doing it already. We've got move to sales or marketing, competition and something new. Number 5, number 4, learn something new. Something
Yeah.
new. Number 1, number 5, something new.
Great. And I just also want to give you a tip. I have a client who is moving from an international company, and she's been working online and recruiting instructors and managing them and so forth. Well, her first love is recruiting, and so she wants to go back to recruiting. So it's kind of a boomerang move, but she doesn't have her SHRM. So she just texted me this morning and said, "Do you think I should take on SHRM?" And I said to her, I said, "Let's wait," because she's trying to hold down a full-time job. She's trying to do a job search. And her full-time job is about 60 hours a week anyway. And I just said, no. If you find out in the job hunt that SHRM is the ticket, then you can start studying for the SHRM test. And I'm not giving it correctly. It's not SHRM. It's Human Resource Professional, HR, I think. Martha, you're on this call. Tell me what the actual name is.
SPR. So lots of people
Yes.
say SPR.
SPR, and
Martha's
then
got PHR.
PHR is the lower level, and SPR is the senior. And so she is going to just see if that is actually required of recruiters. And if it's not, she doesn't have the bandwidth to do it all right now.
People are now saying SHRM SCP or SPHR.
Yes, those are the two designations. So anyway, the important thing is that you don't want to take on a huge learning technique unless you know there's value to it. Because, I mean, everybody's time is limited. The other thing that I just really wanted to close with is remember during your job search to keep your life going. Don't develop an if-then attitude about your life. For example, when I get a job, I'll be happy. When I get a job, we're going to finish the patio. When I get a job, this or that or the other thing. When I get a job, for example, my husband's been saying, well, I don't think we should travel because I need to be home. And I said, no, recruiters call you on your cell phone anyway. Why the heck wouldn't we travel now? Why wouldn't we go see family now? And so don't cut yourself off from the world because you're not fully employed right now. That's just, it's too hard because mentally, emotionally, you need those things for your livelihood, for yourself. And remember, you are the business. If you don't take care of yourself, your physical well-being, your emotional well-being, your psychological well-being, you are not going to get a new job. You've got to take care of yourself first.